Hi everyone, Mr. Silbaugh here, and this is the recording for Day 6 of Module 1, Markup Language and Site Development Essentials. So in the last class, we talked about making sure that your websites are accessible to people with different disabilities and different impairments. So it's very important because we want to make sure that they are able to fully use your website, even if they couldn't normally do so. There are some laws that you need to be familiar with, as well as a standard that you need to be familiar with. The first is the ADA. This is the Americans with Disabilities Act. This is all across the United States. These are standards to influence commercial and social practices related to persons with disabilities. It wasn't until a few years ago that ADA applied to websites, so you want to make sure that your websites are ADA compliant. Usually, as if you remember, we talked about the Department of Justice doesn't actually really go after people unless they're big offenders or they're people that reach a wide range of people. Okay. WCAG was developed by WAY to provide standards for promoting accessibility. Remember, this is from the W3C. They were the people that authored the HTML5 standards. So they're pretty big, and they provide standards to help people make their websites more compliant. The thing about this, though, remember, this is not a law. This is just helpful to allow people to update their websites and make them more accessible. And then lastly, Section 508 applies to the United States federal government, and any federal agency that has a website or has stuff provided either to their staff or people in the public, it is required that they provide accommodations to individuals with disabilities on their websites. So, one of the ways that you can verify web page accessibility is using a validator. Remember, we talked about validating last week. Validating is the process of checking your code for errors, and it can be used to detect errors in accessibility. You can check the code by hand, but again, this becomes time consuming, especially if you have multiple pages. All right, so the next few slides are going to talk about the different validator options that are available to you. First one is W3C Validator, and this is from validator.w3.org. This is the one that we recommend that you use. It's an HTML and XHTML validator. You can use the website, or you can use it as a Firefox add-on. Next is HTML Validator. This is an HTML and XHTML validator. This one's a Google Chrome extension or a Firefox add-on. Next is Validity. This is another HTML and XHTML validator. This is a Google Chrome extension or a Firefox add-on. And then lastly is TopTool, and I'll post this website into our folder for today. TopTool is a color blindness simulator, and it's web-based. So color blindness affects millions of people. There are multiple versions of color blindness, and I'd like you to take some time viewing this website, visibone.com/colorblind, and it kind of goes over some of the different information regarding people who have different colorblind, who are colorblind. Okay, make sure you check that out. Take a look at it. You don't have to write anything about it. I just want you to explore and take a good look at it. All right, this is called Optional Lab 1-2, but it is not optional. You must do it. You're going to complete the lab. You're going to use two validators, and you're going to pick two websites that were talked about in this. And then on the paper, write if there were any issues with accessibility, note if both or one of the pages saw an issue with accessibility, and then you're going to do it for both websites. Okay? You're going to turn this into Schoology when you're complete. I would recommend doing the W3C validator and then doing the TopTool, so you could look at different angles. If you want to install the plugins or the add-ins, feel free to do so. However, that is not a requirement. You can also check out and see if there's any other validators that might be out there that could be useful to you. All right, that's going to do it for this lesson.